Okay, positive negative space. Most of you have heard this term before, right? So if you see this picture here, what is considered the positive space? If you've heard this before. Okay, so with that, if the person in the yoga mat is the positive space, what would the definition of positive space be then? Who can tell me that? Any ideas? You guys have heard this before, right? Don't be shy. Who can describe it? Caleb, you got any ideas? No? Lisa? No? Liz? We're going to go around. Any ideas? Perfect. Yeah, so it's the main subject, right? So the main subject would always be your positive space. The negative space would then be what? Yeah, it's going to be everything else, right? It's going to be the stuff that isn't a main subject. And it's pretty easy to see. It gets a little bit challenging depending on what you get, what you're starting to look at. So this is just what we just talked about. So subjects, area of interest, negative space is around the subjects or their interest. So you've got a zebra. It's a little more challenging. What's your positive space? Who says the zebra? Okay, it's kind of mixed, right? We're starting to get a little bit more like, I'm not sure. Who says the words, the zebra words? Yeah, there's not a right or wrong answer to this, okay? Because it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at a distance, the zebra is probably your positive space with everything around it, the negative space. When you get in a little bit tighter, you're going to start seeing the words. Those could be your positive space. The stripes would then be your negative space. Okay, what about this one? Okay. And the background's negative. Who thinks the heart's the positive? Because is that a focal point? Yeah. Because I can kind of see that too. I can kind of see the heart as a focal point too. Again, it just depends on what you're looking at. But it creates balance and it creates like some weight amongst the heart and the hands as you're looking at that. Okay, just another couple more designs that we'll look at, and some of them will get into more of like, I don't know, what would you call them, like mind type, what are they called? Mind, what is it? Illusions, thank you. Yes, yeah. Okay, so we're going to do something similar to this today. So you got the positive and the negative, so the roots might be more of the negative, the positive might be in the trees. Have you guys seen this before? Do you see a vase or do you see two faces? You can see both. Can you guys see both of them? Okay, that one's a traditional one. I like these. These get into more of the artsy side. So you've got the dogs. You got the black dogs and the white dogs mixed in. Like the geckos. Go down to the mini geckos. This is one of my favorites. I like the fish down at the bottom. That'd be more of your positive space. The geese at the top would be more of your positive space. But I love the blend as it goes in as the geese appear and as the fish disappear between them. Okay, depends on where your focus is at on this one. How many of you can see the profile of I don't know if it'd be like an Eskimo or just a man? Kind of a statue-looking thing. Can you see the profile? So he's like looking sideways. How many of you can see an Eskimo walking away from you? Can you guys see that? How many of you can see both? Can you guys see both? Okay, nice. A lot of people can't see the Eskimo, so here's like the bottom of his jacket and the fur on his jacket. This would be his hood. He's walking away and his two legs down here. You see the face there with the glasses? Or just eyes? What does it say on it? Yeah, so turn your head just a little bit to the right. You can see liar. You see the face in the trees? Definitely real, right? Not photoshopped? No. Yeah. Now this is what they call a Notan. This is what we're going to play with today. We're going to play with the positive and negative space, and you're going to create a Notan. It's a Japanese form of paper art, but we're going to create it digitally. Where you take this would be considered a piece of paper just in the square, And then whatever you cut out, you can flip it over, and then you can flip it twice. You can flip it horizontally and vertically. So like this one's been flipped vertically and then horizontally this direction to give you the mirrored look. All of these. This one's been flipped, and then it's been cut out and flipped back again. But it just creates a cool design, and you can get pretty intricate on some of these. Same thing again. You got your square black center, and you can pick whatever color you want to use when you're creating yours. Flip both directions. You're going to have more of a subject as you create rather than just a design. So this would be something nice, but I'll show you a couple more that we'll get into. It'll be a little bit more your way. This would be more about what you'd create. So this is like an Alice in Wonderland theme, which is cool. The black square almost disappears on this one, but everything's been flipped. And it could be different directions too. So like you've got the teacup down here, square goes that direction. Pretty much all of this, I guess, goes this direction. Goes to the right. I like the birds on this one. So half of them have been flipped this way, and then just this little section up here have been flipped up instead to give it a little more depth. Same with the clouds. There's like a bedroom scene. And we'll show you a couple techniques on how we're going to do this digitally. It's kind of fun. Like some flowers. Cityscape with traffic. Your cars are actually, you could go either direction on your cars. Okay. And this one, and you can do this too, you could put your square, instead of putting your square in the middle, you could put your square on one side or the other. You could even split your page down the middle and do everything just one direction. We're going to play with that in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to let you loose. If you'll open up Photoshop, I'm going to show you some of the techniques, and then we'll have some editing time. Okay. Okay, resist the temptation to edit for a minute and just kind of follow along. So go to your Create New, and then we're going to do an 11 by 17, but let's do an 11 by 17 landscape for this one. You can do portrait if you want as you're creating, depending on what you do create, but the majority of you will do a 11 by 17 landscape. So if it says 11 by 17 on there, you can select it, and then you can make sure it's in landscape format over here on the right hand side. And then just hit create. That'll give you kind of the dimensions we need. Okay. Now let's put a square. Let's put a square in the middle of our paper there. So just underneath your tools, you got your shape tools. Just pick a rectangle tool. What if I want to make a perfect square? What do I hold down? Yep, hold your shift key down. That'll make a perfect square. Actually, it doesn't. They've changed it. Just make one that looks like it. Did yours do it? Oh, there it goes. My keyboard wasn't talking to the computer. Come on. Oh, great. Mine's aligned green. Green. You can change your fill if you want to change your fill to a different color. Okay, so we're going to start cutting out of our rectangle. So or our square, as we do that, we've got to make sure that we rasterize our layer. So make sure you rasterize your square layer, so that way it's editable. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take some selections out of it. So we're going to get our selection tool and just draw some. We're going to just practice with some shapes, and I'll get you into some more advanced. So up on our selection tools, remember we've got the shapes tools. If you wanted to do a square or circle, we could do that. We're going to go down to where we have the lasso tool. So third one down, we're going to grab the lasso tool. And then just come over here, over on your square, and just draw kind of a shape. Like it can be anything. Just make the, just a crazy whatever you want to make out of it. And you can go in and out of your square. Just make sure you connect it when you're done. Okay, and then make sure you're on your rectangle layer when you do this. Do you get something drawn? Now we're going to cut that out. So we're just going to do Control X. Remember, Control X is for cut. You could copy it, but then it's not going to take it out of there. So we've got to do Control X. That's going to take it right out of your layer. And then we're going to do a Control Shift V, and I'll tell you why we're going to do that. So do a Control Shift V, add the shift in there. Because what that does, it's called paste in place. So that's going to put it right where it was at before. If I just do a Control V, let me Control Z that. If I do a Control V, it actually pastes it right in the center of my document, and so sometimes it's hard to get and to move. So that's why we do a Control Shift V. Now grab your Move tool. You could actually do a couple things with this. Grab your Move tool, and you can take that cutout piece from there. Now we want to flip that so it matches. So I'm just going to do a Control T to select it. And then if I right click on it with my transform tool selected, then I can flip that horizontally or vertically down here. So I'm going to flip it horizontally so it goes this direction. And then I'm just going to line that up to match my design. Did you get that to work? We do all right with that? So that's how you could trace something, or you could freehand something if you wanted to draw whatever your creation happens to be. Okay, now let's do it another way. Let's go to open up Chrome real quick. And we're going to do a search. We're going to kind of try a template. So we're going to put some images in there if you don't want to freehand stuff. So open up Chrome, and let's search for, what should we search for? Let's just do tree. Search for a tree. And you can do whatever. And then go to your images. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a tree in, and then we're going to trace the tree and cut the tree out. So we really don't want to get into, we could probably use an image like this. We really don't want to get into like a color photograph. That gets a little more challenging. So we're going to go at the top. You can see there's drawings or even silhouette. Let's try silhouette to start with. And you're going to see all kinds of different trees that we could use. So find a tree that you like. Halloween's coming up. You could do something Halloween-y. I'm just going to do this one. And then once you get to the bigger picture, I'm going to show you a trick on this one too. So take this picture, instead of saving it, just do a right click on it and do copy. Do a copy image, because we really don't need to keep this image. So we're just going to copy, and then we're going to paste it into Photoshop. So then we're going to go back to our Photoshop. And now I can do an edit and just a paste. And a paste is going to paste that, of course, I'm going to paste that in. And it also gave it a new layer down here. Okay, we good so far? Did you get it in there? If I did the Control Shift V again, it would paste it right in the center. It does anyways. Now kind of size that up a little bit. Do a Control T on that. Oops, sorry, no, you're good. Do a Control T on that. Size it up, and maybe put your trunk on the halfway mark. You don't have to. You can do it however you would like. You can use your arrow keys, will nudge too. And then just set that in, hit your enter key or your check mark. Now this is the kind of part that it gets a little weird, but it's super sweet. So now get your magic wand tool this time around. And we're going to select our tree. Okay, so I'm just going to select the actual tree. Come on, select all of it for me. I've got the watermark in there. Did you guys get the watermark? You can hold your shift key down too and add to it. Or you can use your magic selection tool. What's it called? The magic, or the, no, that's what I'm using. It's the quick selection tool. Come on. Okay, once you get a bunch of it selected, or you get your tree selected, now here's where it's going to get weird. Turn off your picture layer so you don't see it anymore, but you're still going to see the selection, right? So now we've got the selection just like we traced before, only we just used an image to get that selection. Now what layer do we need to choose to select to cut it out? We're going to do our square. So now pick your rectangle layer. And now do your Control X, and that's going to cut your tree out of it, and then do your Control Shift V, and that'll put it in place. Now I can move that out of the way. How do I flip it? What am I going to do to control what? We're getting all these controls today. Control T to transform it. Then cut it. Control X to cut it out. And then do a right click, flip horizontally. I could go the other direction too. If I want to flip it vertically, it's going to go down, right? So I could go whatever direction I wanted to go. That's totally up to you. I could flip it twice. If I wanted to go down and then flip it again the other direction, totally up to you. Then I'm going to nudge that into place. See how that works? So you get your selection. You get your selection by using a template or another image, and you could do whatever you want. The black and white ones work best, or something where there's some contrast, because the selection gets a little crazy. If you wanted to, you could even turn on your mask. Remember the mask that we used, and use that for a selection tool, and then flip things. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to have a creation made out of the black. Now you could set this up any way you want. If you wanted to split your paper down the middle and just flip everything one direction, you can do that. You can do it this direction, right in the middle, and then flip things up and down and left and right. You can do it however, you can set however you want. You can use whatever color you want in the background, but just use the one color. If you're doing a Halloween theme, you could do a dark purple if you wanted to. Totally up to you how you do that. But just make sure it's themed in some way. So out on the directions, you'll see, let me show you. So if we go down to the positive negative space, you'll see how they've got kind of a theme going on. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to pick a theme, something that's going to tell some kind of a story. So when you look at it, you're like, I know what that is. It's not just a bunch of random stuff. So it could be something along, keep it narrow. Think of a book you might like, a movie, actions, a holiday, something that you are interested in. And then think of a scene, a location, the surroundings it would be in, anything along those lines that you could put in. And then you can put your subject in that location. So if it's Halloween, you could do a fence with scary trees with a house and maybe a trick-or-treater in the middle of it. Totally up to you, but that gives you kind of a sense of what's going on at the time. Okay? 11 by 17, this will walk you through it. New blank layer. Make sure you rasterize it. There's some examples of Notans. If you want to just search Notans, you can search those. And then use the selection tools that we talked about today. Okay? Questions at all? Have fun with this. We'll work on this a couple days so you can brainstorm and think about it a little bit as you get rolling on it. Okay. You don't have to save this one. You're welcome to play with the one that we started with today. Did everybody get the whole picture image thing to work? If not, I can walk around with you and help you out with that. Okay. Okay, I'll let you loose. Time is yours.